We live in a golden age of audio. High-quality streams and files of every song ever published are accessible at the tips of our fingers, can be sent wirelessly to headphones, earbuds, or speakers. Spotify alone has almost 500 million monthly users, as well as over 100 million songs, not to mention the numerous other music platforms such as Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, YouTube, and many more. But it hasn't always been this easy to enjoy music. Let's go back to the beginning. It all started in 1857 with Edward Leon Scott de Martinville and his invention of the phonautograph. It was able to record sound onto paper or glass, but what it couldn't do was play what it recorded. Enter Thomas Edison, who in 1878 perfected his invention of the phonograph. The phonograph had the ability to record and play back audio. It achieved this feat by etching sound waves into a tinfoil covered cylinder. The first recording from this device was of Edison reciting the nursery rhyme, "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
The first words I spoke in the original phonograph, a little piece of practical poetry. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
A few years later, sometime in the 1880s, Charles Sumner Tainter and Chichester Bell improved the cylinders by using wax instead of tinfoil, which became what is now known as the graphophone. While the major players in the audio world were setting up shop, in 1887, Emil Berliner developed the gramophone, which was the first instance of audio recorded on a flat disc instead of a cylinder. Berliner initially planned for the gramophone to be a toy, but it took much longer for the gramophone and its flat discs to catch on. In 1902, a full 24 years since the introduction of cylindrical recordings, scientists figured out how to mold the wax cylinders for mass production. However, there's some major issues these wax cylinders have. They're extremely fragile and extremely difficult to store. If only there was a format that was sturdy enough to routinely handle and easy to store. Oh wait, discs. By 1929, most of the production of cylinders was replaced by flat discs. These discs became the industry standard and by 1948 evolved into the vinyl records still seen today. While the vinyl record took the world by storm, in 1963, the minds at the Philips Company quietly developed what would become the next big craze in personal audio, the cassette. Up until this point, music was stationary. Either you listened to records at home, on the radio, or at live performances. The cassette reduced the overall size of the hardware needed to listen to the music, and while it was never of the same quality as vinyl records, it had the benefit of being cheap and portable. Sadly, this iconic little plastic box was eventually overshadowed by the next development, the compact disc. The compact disc, or CD, was first patented in the mid-1960s, but rose to popularity in the early 1980s. CDs allowed music producers to distribute much higher quality music in an even smaller form factor. They even found their place in other applications outside of music, like computers, but like every format before it, it eventually got overshadowed. In 1993, the Moving Picture Experts Group, also known as MPEG, introduced the MP3 audio format. It compressed audio files to a small enough size to store and distribute on the still developing internet. In the late 90s to early 2000s, companies competed for market share for portable dedicated MP3 players like Apple's iPod, which debuted in 2001. This battle waged on until around the beginning of the 2010s, with companies such as Spotify, Pandora, and SoundCloud ushering in the age of streaming, which brings us to today. A lot has changed about how we listen to music in the past century and a half. From vinyl records to MP3s and streaming, there has never been a better time for music enjoyers than right now. As technology has progressed, so too have the ways we listen to our favorite tunes. The only question left for audio is, what's next?